of hollows, you have the Endeavor, my baby. This looks pretty good. We've had teases of the Endeavor for many years now. We've had John Crew himself saying that this is the last ship that will ever be developed for Star Citizen. After, I think after launch, they've thrown those words around too. At least as of the ships we know now. I'm inferring based on what he said. I'm not saying every ship that's added suddenly pushes it back. But anyway, the Endeavor is a unique ship because it's two ships. The front is actually able to detach, and it's shielded extra so it can fly into closer to the sun. And that's what you see, those engines that are only a third of the way down the ship. Those big blisters that are sticking out the sides, those are engine pods for that front ship of the vessel. It has a unique role where you can get a special adapter module, which takes up one of the 3 module spaces on the ship, that allows you to detach the front, and then it can still continue to do science and other work and keep the crew happy while you fly off with the ship on the front. It's a wild ship. It can be a hospital. It can be a vessel that does constant research. It can slap a telescope on there even, or it can even overclock modules for other ships. I've said many times that this ship is vastly underrated. I've had people call me out on encouraging people to get the 10 USD CCU from the Starfarer Gemini to the Endeavor to just hold your place. I've made the case that you melt a single set of armor or a paint, get yourself a single USD, 10 USD CCU, and well, if I'm wrong, you just melt 10 USD CCU, you're out nothing. If I'm right in a few years, well, you're gonna have a good time. You can see where the expansion slots are. That's one of the 3 sets. So you see there's one there, one there, one there, and then on the other side there's a matching piece for those expansion slots. But once again, if I'm right, you're going to be way ahead eventually. So it's more of a question, are you willing to wait? And you cannot melt that CCU, because if it melted CCU, the value of it will not be realized. So what I'm also getting at here is, if it's in the holo and the details looking okay, if they start putting out an update for the Endeavor, I'm worried that the value of this thing's going to go up. If the value of this thing goes up, the CCU game suddenly changes. So my recommendation may have to change based on how high this base ship goes. For thought, reminder, the Endeavor CCU I'm talking about, and the entire discussion is about the Endeavor base. There are modules you need to make the ship work. My position is you can just get those in game. There is also a master set that I can talk about in a whole nother video, and I've done other ones in the past, but I can do an updated one after. Welcome to the coverage of the master set and generally in the Endeavor state in 2025 before CitizenCon Direct and IAE. Thank you to my long-term subscribers for sticking with me. So, the video you see scrolling here, you might have already seen this clip with audio, just fun audio. It shows all of my Endeavor CCUs, including also a full ship known as the master set that includes the components, and then a spare ship that's just a ship that was applied CCU. I put my money where my mouth is, basically. And when I say these things, I don't just say them for the sake of, just do this. It's a great idea. Bye. I have my own plans with these. I don't intend to sell them or anything like that. I intend to use them across the entire verse. They are a capital industrial ship that rivals the size of a javelin. And one of the most dangerous things to do is move a capital industrial ship without escorts and all sorts of considerations and alarm clocking it to do it at on times where your enemies won't be on, or whatever. What happens if the ship is already sitting in the system, in key stations and outposts and such, and protected locations? Now all of a sudden you got a farm, I forgot to mention that in the original video, hospital, a super collider to overclock gear, hangars, which I'm probably will make the ship even bigger, telescope arrays to do all sorts of astros, all sorts of fun stuff, and of course general sciences. It is the ship of dreams, and it's also the ship of nightmares for John Crew and maybe some of his staff that have to come up with how to make this thing work. And yes, it may be reworked, but at the end of the day, I see it as something that you should consider picking up a 10 USD CCU to. Maybe 2 if you have the credit laying around. And do not melt them. I stand by what I said earlier. Now, on to the deeper topic here. The master set is something that includes 2 biodomes, so a full set of farming equipment. And it also includes a super collider and telescope. These are hyper niche items. The super collider does the overclocking of gear, or they might rework that. And the telescope allows you to see things that are far away, probably astrological anomalies. I'll leave that in just for fun. But the bigger thing here is that it has a full-size medical bay that's a full 2x2. Now you're probably listening to that word and you're going, what are you talking about? Those little hatchways, the 3 on each side that you watched at the beginning of the video in the Holo viewer, those are module docks, and each one of those is by 1, so it's like 3x2, the entire grid. So if you have a 2x2, say the Endeavor Medical Bay, you cannot go and put another 2x2 in with it. So you can't have the Medical Bay and the Super Collider mounted in the current Endeavor at the same time. Now, by the time this thing is finally released, that might be a whole nother story. The reason for that is for balance. And to be blunt, some of these modules are huge. The medical bay is a multi-floor hospital. So it's also meant to make it what it's supposed to be. CIG in the past has sold whole component kits like the Endeavor Hope class, which is an Endeavor medical bay combined with an Endeavor landing bay, which was supposed to originally hold a cutlass or 2, depending on who you ask. And that obviously is going to have to get bigger and bigger and bigger as size metrics are considered for standardization of hangars, even on ships. And the idea being that the Endeavor Medical Bay would release or get wounded through the landing bay. Now, in the current situation, a lot of people can regen with their gear on them because of Tier 0 reclaiming and recovery. So being able to teleport to the Endeavor Medical Bay is a given, and the size of it means that you can have an entire org during org combat nearby spawn into this medical bay, and they just need a ride out, at least in the current situation. Now, you might have other times in the future where, there's your character gets older, or you leave the gear on the ground when you die, and then now you might not be worth just leaving it there, etc., depending on if risk reward, being able to spawn quickly and grab a hand-me-down shotgun and a undersuit and some armor and get back in the fight, versus wait, this was somebody with heavy armor with proper kits. They had all these sorts of equipment set up for them. Maybe we should try to get them back in one, in the pieces they are, and try to piece them back together. But that's a topic for yourself and your org, I think. And you might notice I'm making a shift here. This ship is not a personal ship. It is a ship of organizations, and it's also something I would argue as a support vessel for organizations that are friendly to you. So I do think it is possible by the time this thing is finally out, past 1.0.0, which is multiple major patch cycles away. And between us, I've said many times now, I firmly believe CIG is going to start making the insurance countdown start at 1.0.0, considering they've been surrounding this as multiple new solar systems, all sorts of subsystems, and fully fleshed out engineering, and it's going to be the patch cycle of dreams, which we've heard many times. But if they stick to that, I think that they're going to turn around and say this is a deliverable that means that we can start counting and start the clocks. And ships that are over 1K that automatically get LTI will suddenly gain new relevance. So and also cost, if you can't get LTI on those ships. The 10-year actually matters, the 2-year actually matters. Anyway, back to topic. What matters more, though, is the ship itself. If you can build yourself bridges through the CCU chain to have LTI on this ship, or at the very least 10-year, which is very easy to get at IAE and also Invictus if you picked up a LTI token there, That would be a wise decision if you got a little more money to spend. And it doesn't mean it has to sit around and do nothing. You could pick ships you like to fly around and have a good time and have that in the back burner and think, you know what? If I build a giant hospital ship, it might have a big target painted on its back if I put it near a war zone. Now, note what I said earlier about having my strategy being having these things staged all over the place for relative safety, etc. But if you're going to try to move this thing near an active war zone in PvP or PvX or whatever, the Vandal are invading a system and you want to be useful, the ship might get shot at. And this brings up the master set in a roundabout way, because this ship is a complicated creature and the whole topic is complicated. The master set means that you get 2 biodomes, a super collider, the space, which is the Endeavor service and equipment and crew modules, the fuel pod, which is limited usability, dubious use right now, especially when you consider other org-based ship, it'll have refueling, help you out. Endeavor landing bay, Endeavor Medical Bay, Research Lab, General Science Lab, and Endeavor Telescope Array. Whew. Which is probably enough based on our math to do about 3 to 4 Endeavors worth of worthwhile things with at the same exact time on a single master set that only comes with a single Endeavor hull. You can see where I'm going with this. If you are one of those souls who is dead set on being excited about picking up the master set during one of the IAEs, well, by the way, they come up in November. I don't know why. I get random questions about like when the major sales are. They're the same every year. They just change a couple days here, a couple days there, based on patch cycles and CIGs. Internal excitement, I guess. I don't know. Marketing strategy, but they're within a certain couple days of each other. So we know it's going to be in November. And we know that CitizenCon Direct, which is a virtual-only CitizenCon this year, unfortunately, is only going to be a few hours, I believe 2 hours or something like that, was something I heard bandied about by CIG, maybe a little bit more, is going to be in October to get the hype up. I do not believe there will be a release on the Endeavor in 2025. My guilt of any type of excitement building and hype is sated now. I believe that this will, as CIG has most recently mentioned, will be out past 1.0.0, and I am okay with that. Why am I okay with that? Because when it does finally come out, it will be usable. Right now, the game is rather small, and it will need to grow for a ship like this to truly become itself and become something worth really, really having. And I'm okay with it because I'm a little bit excited about it and a little bit out there. I do not recommend people pick up the master set. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I don't recommend it. I'm not saying never do it, but only do it if you're a diehard. And if you absolutely must, please, for your own sake, pick up at least 2 10 USD CCUs that are Starfarer Geminis to Endeavors. You can do it in the ship upgrades tab during IAE when it's MISC day and at the final during the events. It has to be IAE. It can't be Invictus if you're listening to this in 2026. And click the All Ships radial button on the top left. That means that all ships are available to you that are available for that day. You do not need to own the Starfarer Gemini to take part in this trick. There is no barrier for entry other than just having 10 or 20 credit on hand. Or if you're already buying the master set outright and for some reason you decided to do it with new money, great. I mean, great. Thank you for supporting the project. And I genuinely mean that. I'm not sarcastic about that. But please, for your own sake, get a couple CCUs. And don't melt them. Sit on them. Because if there's a surprise change, and we have seen that, and prices jump up, you will, and policies change, then you will lose the capability of this CCU magic. I hold on to my 240 USD CCU to my BMM, my Banu Merchantman. I hold on to my Carrack that was 230, I think it was. This is the last of those true blue options where you will have people turn to you and go, how the heck did you get a capital industrial ship for 10 USD for the CCU from a ship that's 250? So but yes, you will be able to say you have 1,000 USD CCU. Well, I don't know if the hull will eventually go to 1,000. I think it'll sit at 900 or something like that. But people will say, let's just even lowball it even more, just so I don't somehow get accused of overhyping this. So how the heck did you get an 850 USD CCU capital industrial ship the size of a Javelin for 260 USD all in? And you don't even have to spend the money at first. You can spend it years from now, when the ship is finally out. You don't have to apply anything. You can sit on it, unless you like the loaners. And that is the one major downside of the Endeavor. The loaners are atrocious right now, mainly because industrial ships of any reasonable size are really, really limited in number. So forgive the noise of my clicky keys, but I'm going to loaner ship matrix here in August of 2025. And when I look at it, I cringe, because there's multiple ships on here that really should be better. The Endeavor currently gets a standard Starfarer. Ironically, it should get the Star G, considering how many I've sold. But the Cuddy Red. And the only reason it gets the Cuddy Red is because that's the entry to medical, at least at the time that was big. And also, I believe that it's because of the Endeavor Hope class being in its concept art having a Cuddy Red parked in its hangar. And as a reminder, I said earlier, the hangar can supposed to be able to support 2 Cutlasses, which is quite a large hangar in current metrics. We'll see if that holds up. I don't know, but the ship's already pretty damn big, I'd say so. But nonetheless, stay the course if you already have one of these. If you're new to this adventure, please, please, please get a real ship first, a ship that you can use every day, a ship that you can enjoy with your friends, and treat this as more of an advanced thing. Again, you only have to spend 10 USD on an Endeavor CCU. You don't have to apply it. You can let it sit. And the ship I always recommend is the Starfarer Gemini to the Endeavor. You can do the same trick with a Connie Aquila or something else in that realm. There are plenty of ships that are within 10 to 40 USD. It just so happens the Star G is the cheapest of those options. There is a massive outlier, one tiny risk, that if the Star G becomes a limited ship somehow, some way with the Starfarer rework, then you would need an escape clause. So I joke, I call it that. But you would need a ramp CCU between the Star G and something else that's right nearby. There's quite a few ships, like the Vanguards, I think, and some few other things that are like 5 or 10 USD. I only mention that so that way, if 3 years down the line the Endeavor suddenly skyrockets in price, it starts getting talked about as possibly being released, and then somebody posts on here an angry message about how I've let them down because their 10 USD CCU is suddenly tarnished because they can't get a Star G that easily. To them, I would say, and to you now, I would say, get yourself an escape CCU if you're one of those people who likes to overanalyze and prepare and have every chess piece in place. Totally understandable. Find something that's a Star G ramp. A lot of times there are Warbond CCUs, not the Endeavor usually, but to the Star G or ships that are near the Starfarer Gemini in price, and then you can get yourself 5 or 10 or 20 USD CCUs to the Starfarer Gemini, and then again, you don't have to apply it. And one of the most common people turn to is ships like the Mole, for example, because the Mole is constantly available. CIG just refuses to admit that the ship was a failure, needs to be reworked. The shame hallways are incredibly hard to get anybody to use. Like diehard miners, sure, they'll love it, but you get a group of friends on a reclaimer, it's a good Friday night. You get a group of friends on the Mole, they're not, they duck you. They don't want to go on their Mole anymore. But for whatever reason, CIG thinks it's a good ship. If you want to
tell me that that's not a good idea, that's fine. I totally understand that. But do yourself a favor and look at the Arastra build and look how everybody gets to sit together and not be down the shame hallways. And note that that's probably lessons learned from the Mole, one of the first multi-cruise ships that's industrial focused, to be fair, that actually was functional and in the correct ways, to be fair. But yeah, lessons learned. Fortunately, the Endeavor does not have those problems. The Endeavor is a massive creature, and I don't think you'd see your friends in it if y'all didn't want to see each other. You can mount a module for them and have them go have fun, apparently, and give them some NPCs and lab coats. And that's where I'm going to leave you. It's the ship of dreams, the ship of a lot of items. It may not be exactly what we expected, but it is something that is great. If you have any questions about the master set and truly what each module is doing, I really don't want to make an hour-long video about this, so please post them down below. I'll gladly talk them over with you. Some of them do have bigger gameplay loops involved than others, and don't forget that outpost end stations are a thing. So you do need to factor in that the Endeavor's big selling feature is mobility, being able to move around to relic sites and other interesting instances that CIGS Bandy they're thinking about and doing. And also being able to get the research done or get the information and then pull back. And a solar system is a really big place. So an outpost in one place on one planet or one moon is not as desirable as something that can quietly float around and move around one solar system. And again, if for whatever reason you want to try to emulate my strategy, keep in mind that the biggest problem you're going to have is trying to move across multiple star systems. You need escorts. You'll need to figure it out. You take a look at the star chart and you're going to find that there's some systems that have lower sec than others, security, and that you have to get through those to get to the money. And in some cases it's in those systems, and you can only make a corridor of safety that's very small and fleeting when you have an active heavy time zone in your org or friends of your org. So it's a lot of food for thought, but I like showing all the options. I like showing everything. The topic is a little muddy. Sometimes that's the best topics I have to cover, and I wish you luck with your endeavors. And I hope if you get nothing else from this conversation, get yourself a 10 USD CCU at IAE. And then, you know what? I got one ask, okay? I got one ask. If you run into me at CitizenCon someday or Bar Citizen, and the Endeavor comes out, and you save yourself a ton of money, do me a favor, just say thanks. All right, that's all I ask. It'd be nice to get vindication after all these years of selling my dream, because I could absolutely have kept quiet, and I could have been running the Endeavor scene by myself and just laughing all the way to the UEC bank, right? All right, that's all I got. Please consider subscribing if you have not already. That's my second ask. That's the only other ask I have. And thank you to my long-term subscribers for not only sticking around, but putting up with me. And most importantly, thank you for being here.